Buenos dias, Buen Camino.
You will be pilgrim tomorrow.
Oh my God. We are officially taking our first steps. My knee hurts, I can barely walk. I'm in urgent care. I have burnt armpits. I went outside of the bar and I just started bawling. I'm not trying to go up this interstate. There's no sidewalk. I'm definitely gonna get hit by a car. Ah! People are walking to overcome heartbreak, to empower themselves, to find God. People open up their hearts, and it's just been so cool.
We all have something to offer, and so we all have something that we can receive from one another. This has just been the most wild experience, and I will never forget it. Hey, what's up everybody? It is Julia. Welcome back to my channel if you are a subscriber and if you are new here. Nice to meet you. I post videos about travel, adventure, packing tips, hiking, all that stuff, and most importantly, I talk about living a good story and being brave. So if you are interested in that, hit the subscribe button right here and I will catch you in a future video. For today, I am so excited because we are doing the long-awaited Camino Q&A. If you don't know what the Camino is, it is a 500-mile across Spain from the border of France all the way to Santiago and beyond that actually to the ocean. So it's an entire walk across the country of Spain. It's an ancient Catholic pilgrimage. It's an extremely popular experience now that people will do, not just for religious experiences or spiritual awakening, but for exercise, for adventure, to discover things inside of themselves. A lot of people on the Camino are like searching for something and like discovering things and kind of in transition in their life. So there's a lot of incredible people that you can meet, and there are people from all over the world and all over Europe, and so it's a really special experience. So I'm super excited to be talking about it today. This is gonna be the first of, I think, 3 or 4, probably 4. I'm holding up 4, so maybe 4 videos. I'm gonna do a whole series on preparing for the Camino, everything you guys are gonna wanna know. I think I owe it to you because I took questions for this Q&A in November of 2019. So I did the Camino at the beginning of October. It took me 35 days and I finished the middle of November. And then I took questions for this Q&A and then I never filmed it because I got caught up in putting out the like 25 some vlogs that I put out. So those are up. And then the pandemic hit and then I lost my job and you know, you guys get it. So here we are, we're filming this video. I went ahead and took new questions on Instagram. So if you asked a question back in November, I saved it, I've got you. If you asked a question today, I've got it. We're gonna do it. I've grouped them into groups, so a lot of people ask the same question, so I'll just try and kind of breeze through the general topics. And then a lot of you guys asked so many of the same questions that I'm gonna break those off into other videos. So today will be the general Q&A, and then hopefully there'll be a whole video on cost, how much the Camino costs, what you're gonna expect to pay for, all the different things that will cost you money. A lot of people wanted to know about that. And then a lot of people wanted to know about like gear regrets, like what did I regret bringing or wished I had brought or didn't need or was happy I brought. A lot of questions about that. So we'll do a whole video like reviewing the gear. And then a lot of people wanted to know about my knee. I hurt my knee, and I've also been getting some requests to do a story time, so we'll just combine those 2 requests and we'll do a story time about hurting my knee. So those are the videos I plan to film. If at the end of this video you feel like your question still hasn't been answered and it's not gonna be answered in the upcoming videos, just comment down below or DM me on Instagram and we'll figure it out. Don't worry, I got you. Okay. Let's get started. A lot of people wanna know, how did I prepare for the Camino? How do you plan for the Camino? What do you need to do? So first let's talk about getting physically prepared because I think that's what most people are wondering when they say, how do you prepare? So what I did is I just walked a lot with a backpack on. I wasn't in particularly good shape when I started preparing, and I didn't prepare that far in advance, maybe a month and a half, 2 months. I decided I was gonna do the Camino before I actually left. And I was in the middle of doing a musical at the time, so that had me in a decent amount of shape, but I was really busy. So when the musical wrapped, I had about a month to prepare. So I just spent that entire month walking every day after work, sometimes in the middle of work during lunch. I would just go walk at least 3, 4, 5 miles
in the evening, and on the afternoons I would find trails by my house. I used the app All Trails to try and find any and all trails near my house. And I would walk like 5, 10, 7, 8 miles. I got up to about 10 miles before I left. And I never walked more than 10 miles in my training. And on the Camino, you're gonna walk like at least 12 miles a day, anywhere from 12 to 22. So I never even walked the minimum in my training. And one question people also asked was, did I feel prepared physically? And yes, I would say I did. I was really nervous because I'm really not a very athletic person. I think I give off the persona that I am. And in recent years, I've kind of become a bit of a hiker, so I'll give myself a little more credit. But historically, I have not been a very athletic person, and so I was really nervous. And I was going with my friend Kayla, who is so strong, so athletic, and I didn't know if I could keep up with her, and I really couldn't, but I didn't need to keep up with her. I'll get into that later. But yes, I felt prepared. I did great. The first day was very hard because it's all uphill. But I'd say overall, I did a great job. I felt really strong. I was really surprised by my strength and what I was capable of, and that's a really special part of the Camino, is you just find like things inside of you that you didn't know were there. And so I would say the Camino is accessible to the average person. You don't need to stress about being physically fit. I would prepare, I would start hiking and maybe doing some like sit-ups, but if you can't do a lot, don't stress. It's gonna be okay. I think that this is an accessible experience for most people, and if you have the time and the space, would definitely just train a bit on the weekends and in the evenings. And wear a backpack while you're training. Like, pack about 15 pounds in a bag, like the bag you plan on bringing, and wear it with you so you get used to the weight and you get used to having like water and things like that. So there are different routes. The most famous, well-known route that you're probably thinking of when you say the Camino is the Camino de Frances. It starts in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port in France, and it goes all the way to Santiago. They all go to Santiago. But there are like 4 or 5 other Caminos in Spain, and there are also other Caminos in different countries in Europe. But the most famous ones, there's like the Norte, it's the northern route, and there's one that goes along the coast. There's one that goes through Portugal, it's called the Camino de Portuguese, and I think there's a winter route. There's a variety of routes. I'm gonna link down below a resource that explains all of them really well, so you can pick which one you wanna do. If you wanna do like the classic, the Camino, what people are typically talking about is the Camino de Frances, and that takes about 30 to 35 days. It's about 500 miles. If you're really not sure which route you wanna do, if you're open, the things to think about are, how rural of an experience do you want? How long do you wanna be out there? How many people do you want to be around? Some of the other routes have a lot less people. The Camino de Frances has a ton of people, so if you really kind of want to be more rural by yourself, you might want to do like the Norte. It's a little more intense, a lot less people. So just look at the website that I have linked down below and look at how long they are, look at the scenery, the amount of people, and figure out what's important to you and what kind of experience you want, and then you can pick. For the sake of this video, moving forward, I'm just gonna talk about the Camino de Frances because that's what I did, and I'm assuming that's what most of you want to know about. So as far as preparing, that's all I would do. I wouldn't plan any more of the trip. Don't plan any lodging. Maybe plan lodging in St. Jean, just so when you get there fresh off the airplane, like, you have a place to stay. I'll link down below my favorite albergue in St. Jean. You should all stay there. But other than that, don't book anything else. Don't plan the rest of the trip. You can literally just start walking in St. Jean and wing it from the rest of the way. You don't need to plan out like where you're gonna sleep or where you're gonna eat or what you're gonna do. You can just decide those things as you go. You can roll up into a town, find a place to stay immediately. You don't need to plan it. In fact, I really wouldn't. It's really gonna take away a lot of the freedom and flexibility that you'll probably really enjoy on this trip, because that's really what's special about it, is you just walk and you just do what you want. I highly encourage you to just do whatever you want and really like take advantage of this experience where it can be all about you and your experience and what you need and what you want every day. Don't book anything. The next thing I would do to prepare would honestly to practice some Spanish. People in Spain speak Spanish, and that's stupid, but in other countries, say like Scandinavia or some Asian countries, if you look like you don't know the local language, they'll just talk to you in English. That's really not the case in Spain. Even if they know English, which a lot of people don't know English and they're just gonna talk to you in Spanish. They just are. I spoke Spanish constantly. I was constantly looking up how to say stuff. Practice some Spanish. If you literally know none, it could be a little bit of a problem, hopefully. But however, most likely you'll probably make a friend that knows Spanish and they can help you, because I guarantee you'll make friends immediately. But it would be in your best interest and really would be honoring to the country that you are visiting if you would attempt to learn a little bit of words just to get by. The next question is, what is the terrain like on the Camino? Okay, so it varies. So sometimes you're literally on a trail like you would think when you're hiking, and other times you're on a road, other times you're on a sidewalk, other times you're on a gravel path, other times you're walking through a cornfield, other times you're in a vineyard, other times you're in the grass, sometimes you're on an interstate. It's really like you're crossing the country and it's wild. Sometimes you're in a little village, sometimes you're in a huge city, which is always kind of fun. You're like, I walked this giant city, how did I get here? So the beginning, if you start in St. Jean, is the Pyrenees Mountains. So you're literally like hiking a mountain, and that's quite difficult that first day. And then the first week or so, it's like hilly and mountains, and then the middle couple weeks are known for being a lot more flat. And there's a lot of farmland and there's a lot of roads. And then at the end, you're in the region of Galicia and it's mountainous again. So you end with a lot of mountains and a lot of hills. So the beginning and the end are pretty like hiking vibes, and the middle is more like walking. And next, I got this question several times. Is the Camino safe for women to do alone? And yes it is. I felt unbelievably safe on the Camino. I don't think I ever felt like someone was acting weird or I was in danger. In fact, we would literally take our backpacks off and we would leave them outside of restaurants and bars and buildings, and I never worried about my stuff getting stolen. I never felt like someone in the albergue was gonna hurt me. I never really felt nervous. The only thing that I really felt nervous about on the Camino was getting hit by a car, because there are some times when the trail takes you kind of on an interstate or across a busy road, and it's a little scary. And so I always just made sure not to have on headphones and make sure I was like fully alert.
The signs look different, and it wants me to go up this ramp. That looks so unsafe. I think I could maybe go this dirt road around the interstate, but like I'm not trying to go up this interstate. There's no sidewalk. I'm definitely gonna get hit by a car. Look at that. There's nowhere.
So that was my concern, but I was never really concerned I was gonna get hurt or have unwanted attention or have anything stolen from me. Nothing like that. So if you're a woman, I highly encourage you to do this. It's great for women. I would say of all the solo travelers, there's probably more women than men. You'll make lots of female solo traveler friends. You'll make lots of friends. It'll be an extremely empowering experience. Please, please, please do it. Don't worry, tell your family it's okay. Tell them I said it's okay, okay? Tell them I did it. They can watch my videos and you'll be fine. The next question is very similar. Someone is asking, would it be worth it to go with an organized group, some kind of tour group? And I really thought about this, and my gut answer is no, don't go with a tour group. But I don't wanna tell you what to do with your time. I think that the Camino is extremely accessible. It is extremely affordable, and it is not a confusing, like you just gotta get yourself to the beginning and then you're set, rip-roaring, ready to go. You don't need anyone's help. You're gonna make friends immediately, because honestly, like what does a tour group have to offer you? It plans logistics for you, and it gives you instant friends, and it kind of like takes away any of the stress. You don't have to do things for yourself. But I don't think you need any of that on the Camino. Like the logistics are not hard. Just get there, and then you're ready to go, just start walking. And then friends, like I promise you, you will make friends day one, especially if you're by yourself. If you're with a group or you have like a travel partner, you're less likely to make friends because you're just less approachable. But if you are alone, people will instantly start talking to you. I promise you will make friends. And the day-to-day logistics, like it's just not that hard. And it's honestly really empowering and fun and freeing to just do whatever you want and stop where you want and sleep where you want, eat where you want and do what you want, and you will lose all that with a tour group. So I don't think a tour group is worth it. I wouldn't do it. But if your idea of fun is having someone plan everything for you and just like wandering around Spain and doing like, and just kind of like letting someone lead you, if that's fun for you, like I know my mom, like that's her idea of fun, then please do that. I don't want to tell you what kind of experience to have. If you're that kind of person, then you would love it. This next question is so funny. It's how do you deal with chafing? I love this question. I definitely struggle with chafing. I have big thighs for sure. So what I did is I got shorts that have built-in sliders, so my legs didn't actually touch each other when I was walking, and this was really crucial for me. One thing I would do is whatever clothes you're planning on bringing on the Camino, practice walking in them, because this is how I discovered what shorts not to bring. I bought 3 different pairs that I thought I would take all of them, and when I was training, I realized immediately that 2 of them are way too short, and I was having thigh chafing, and it was not good. So I ditched those immediately and did not bring them. So whatever clothes, like practice, I remember some shirts I practiced in, I hated sweating in them, and so I didn't bring them. And you'll learn a lot about what clothes are good, what clothes are comfortable. So practice in everything, try everything out. On the note of chafing, I'm assuming this person was talking about thigh chafing, but I did get chafing in my armpit because I wore this shirt. I guess I didn't practice walking in it enough, but it had longer armpit holes instead of just like a short sleeve. And after like a week, I had these horrible rashes in my armpits, and I had to go to the doctor and get ointment, and I couldn't like shave my armpits for a while because there was like, oh, it was bad. The next question someone asked is, are there beautiful landmarks to look forward to on the Camino? And yes, there are so many. This is honestly part of the fun. There's major cities that you'll go through, like Pamplona, which is where the running of the bulls is, and then there's Burgos, which is stunning, and then there's Lyon, which is incredible, and then of course all along the way there's like little things to look forward to, like there's the Cruz de Ferro, which is like this iron cross. There's a tradition on the Camino that everyone is supposed to take a rock from their home, like your physical backyard or something, and it's supposed to represent like whatever baggage you're carrying with you. And then you carry it all along the Camino, and then when you get to the Iron Cross, which is toward the end, you leave it at the foot of the cross, and it's like you're leaving your baggage and whatever is weighing you down, you leave it at the foot of the cross, and you walk away and you keep going on your journey, and you like, it's such a beautiful tradition. It's so much fun. Also along the way, you pass through 5 different regions, which is something I didn't know about the Camino. So you start in France, and then you go into Navarra, and then you go into La Rioja, and then you go into Castile y Leon, which you're there forever. And then at the end, you're in Galicia. So it's kind of like the Appalachian Trail where you go through different states, but you're in different regions, and that progression is really fun. You have like these little milestones, so that's something to look forward to too. And also, as you go through different towns and areas, the signs kind of change a little bit, so that's also fun. Did I use any kind of GPS? Yes, sort of. I used this app called Buen Camino. I'm gonna link it down below. You absolutely need to download it. It is free. It might be $1. I don't know, but it's worth it. You should pay up to like $50. It's incredible. Everyone will probably have this app. It's blue and yellow. It's gonna tell you the entire route, every single city you'll pass through, and it'll tell you every single city. You can click on it, you can see what albergues are in that town, you can see what restaurants are in that town, you can see what landmarks are along the way. Speaking of landmarks, it'll tell you like little history and culture about where you're passing through. It'll tell you the distance between each town. There's a pretty much like a normalized plan that everybody walks. Like most people will walk the same distances every day, so as you're walking, people will be like, where are you going? And everyone will probably say the same town. It's just like people tend to stop in the same like major areas. You can do whatever you want, but there's like a general suggested plan that most people follow, and so that's on the app, but you can change it if you can't find a place to stay where you are, or you want to walk more or less or whatever. You can make your own route on the app, and I used this app literally all day, every day. I used it to see how far are we going, how far are we from the next place, is there food in the next place, is there an albergue? They have the phone numbers, you can call the albergues, you can see how many beds are in each albergue and how much it costs. You can, literally all the information you could ever need. You can see the elevation of what you're doing. Buen Camino, 100%, you need to download it right now. The next couple questions are about my friend Kayla. If you watched my vlogs or follow me on Instagram, you know that my friend Kayla from the World Race, she came with me. And a lot of people want to know, did I enjoy walking with her or did I enjoy walking alone? And also some people want to know, why was I sometimes walking with her and sometimes walking alone? So let's answer all of that together. So on the Camino, you can do whatever you want, and you should do whatever you want, what your body needs. Honestly, Kayla just walks a lot faster than me. So she would get really far ahead of me, and sometimes there were like different ways you could go, and she would want to go the harder way, and I would want to go the easier way, or I would just walk slower. There was one time I hurt my knee, so she walked without me. There was another time I skipped ahead so I could get to Lyon faster, and I took an extra rest day in Lyon, and she just walked by herself. There was also a couple times where she wanted to do things that I didn't want to do. Like we passed through one town where they had these stamps. It was like a halfway stamp, and it was like 10 minutes off the trail, and she wanted to go get it and I didn't, so I kept walking, and I ended up not seeing her for like an entire day because she stayed that long. And there was another time where she wanted to stay in Lyon longer than I did, so I just went on without her, and then she ended up hurting her foot or something, and so she took a bus ahead, and so we didn't see each other for 2 days. So there were different times we got off track just because that's what we wanted to do and that's what we needed. And it did not matter. You don't need to be with people like 24/7. In fact, most people don't want to be with someone else 24/7. But yeah, to say what did I prefer, I can't decide. I loved walking with her because sharing the experience with her was fun, but I also loved walking alone too. I loved the freedom. I am an introverted person. I know people are always shocked when I say that, but I loved the freedom of being able to do what I wanted. So when I was alone, I could stop and eat when I wanted. I could go wherever I wanted. When you're with another person, you always have to kind of compromise on what they want to do and what you want to do, and you have to decide. But when you're alone, you can stop and eat and sit down. One time I remember I was alone and I just like changed my entire outfit and like laid on the ground for a while and just like didn't care because no one else was around me and I didn't have to worry about other people's feelings. So being alone was really empowering and fun and freeing, but being with Kayla was fun and special because I knew we were making memories together that we would always have forever. Like you make friends on the Camino and it's awesome, but I always knew with Kayla, like you're gonna be my friend for life. And we're always gonna have these memories, and there's people we're meeting along the way we might never see again, and we'll always have the memories with them, but we will never get to like talk about it, whereas Kayla and I are friends for life, and we shared something so special that we can always like reminisce on, so that felt really special. The next question is, again, one lots of people asked, and that is what would I do differently? And not many things. I would say I would love to have gone at a different time of year. I went October, November, which is the end of the season, and it was really rainy. It rains a lot then, and it got a bit cold. I would have loved to have gone in like August or September when the sunflowers are in bloom and when it's a little bit nicer weather. It's super, super hot in like June and July, and then August and September, it's still hot, but it's like a nicer, like less intense hot. And then it just starts to get cold October, November, and of course there was just so much rain. The rain made me go crazy. So I think I would have loved to have gone in September and seen the sunflowers. I can't tell you how many fields of sunflowers that I passed through, just dead sunflowers. And it made me so sad. I was like, man, I could have been here and seen those. So I'm not sure if it's August or September when the sunflowers are in bloom, but that's when I wished that I had been there. I think I also wished that I had walked more at my own pace. I think I felt like I had to keep up with Kayla. She walks really fast and she's a lot stronger than I am. And I think also I could have prevented injuries a lot more. I know a lot more now about my body and how to like ease into things and warm up and prevent injury a little bit better. I think I should have worn a knee brace the entire time from the beginning. I think I could have done different stretches to protect my knees. I've learned that stretching your hip flexors will protect your knees. And I also think I should have walked probably shorter distances and just slower in the beginning, and I think I probably would have had less injury. The next question several people also asked, and that is, what is the biggest lesson I learned from God, or the biggest spiritual takeaway from the trip? I learned that the Lord really delights in empowering us, and he really wants to like push us and help us see like what's inside of us. And the Camino really does that. It helps you see like all the strength that you didn't know you had inside of you. I feel like God wanted me to learn like you are so capable and you have so much inside of you, but also like real strength doesn't have to come from human endurance and like grit, but real strength comes from relying on God. And so I learned that like there were so many times when I was like, my knee hurts so bad I can't do this, but there was like this freedom in just relying on God to get me to the end. And so I just found that like there's so much strength inside of me, and it comes from my dependence on God. A lot of people wanted to know like what was the high point and the low point, or like the best part and the worst part. It's really hard to answer that. I would say The low point was definitely my knee. There were 2 days where I had really big knee blowouts. The first day was crazy, but the second time it happened, I remember like really crying. I was sitting in a coffee shop just crying, thinking like, okay, I might have to go home. I might not be able to do this. And that was devastating. And spoiler, I did walk the whole way, I did it. The best part of the Camino is definitely the people that you meet, and you just share this crazy experience with these friends, and it's such an adventure. I crave adventure, and so the Camino is definitely for the adventurer. It is just so much fun, and there's so much like tradition and culture involved, and then you make these friends along the way. The deepest of friendships are always formed in some kind of like enduring crazy situation, and that's what the Camino is. So you make these incredible friends, and everybody that's on the Camino is pretty open-minded and kind, and you'll be walking and people will be like, hi, like, where are you going? And then you'll say where you're going, and then they'll say, you know, why are you walking the Camino? And you just can share your heart. You get into these really deep conversations about life and solving the world's problems, and I got to share my testimony constantly. People would just ask me what my thoughts were on God or what my thoughts were on anything, and so you get into these really deep conversations, and so it's really, really fun, and you make these really lovely friends. And one of the best parts obviously was the end when we got there. I can't explain the feeling of getting to the end. I felt so proud of myself, so blown away. But then you see all these people coming into the cathedral square, and you're like, guys, we did it. Like, everyone that's there is people that you spent over a month walking with. Like, you literally will be like, I know everyone in this square right now, and like, I did it. Like, you saw me crying on the side of the road, and like, you gave me Advil, and you gave me muscle cream, and like, you shared pasta with me, and you taught me like how to get bed bugs out of my sleeping bag, and like, we did this together. And like, you just like crying and hugging and yelling, and like, all these people you didn't know like a month and a half ago, you're now like in the middle of this square, this beautiful cathedral in Spain, just like crying and celebrating like we did it together, even though we didn't know each other. We were strangers, and now we're friends, and we've like accomplished something incredible. It was such a good feeling. I just sat there all day and like watched people come in, and it was like, hi, you did it, woo! It was so fun. And then at the end, we went to this restaurant that was just for pilgrims, and we knew everyone in the restaurant, and we had this big table. There was like, we came in and there was a big table of people, and they just said, pull up another table, and we kept pulling up more tables and more tables, and there was probably like 12 of us, and it was just like the perfect ending, just cheersing and eating with people that we had spent the month with, just like reminiscing about the entire experience. Was so much fun. My other favorite thing about the Camino is it's beautiful, but also there's just so many cute little traditions. Like, you have your stamp book, they're called credentials, that prove that you're a pilgrim, and you have to get little stamps at every albergue, and little restaurants will have stamps, and like every stamp is different and unique to like that restaurant or that albergue. And so at the end, you have this big book of stamps, and you have to present it at the official pilgrim office at the end to prove that you walked the whole way. I think you have to walk at least 100 kilometers to get a Compostela, which is like a certificate that you did it. So I just think that was so much fun and so cute, like collecting the stamps. It felt like I was on a treasure hunt. You also, at the beginning, will get a little shell, and you tie it to your backpack, and that like shows everybody that you're a pilgrim walking the Camino. And then there's all the little signs, and then everyone will say Buen Camino to you, which basically means like, it's kind of like saying hello, goodbye, aloha, shalom, like war eagle, roll tide kind of thing. Like, it's just sort of a greeting and a salutation. You just say it to everyone as you're walking. Some of the bad things about it are sleeping. You sleep in like a big room of people, and everybody snores. Sometimes there's bed bugs. You're like constantly in fear of bed bugs. You're obviously tired all the time. Your body hurts all the time. There's like downsides to the Camino. It can get hard, it can get boring in the middle, but there's way more pros. It's an incredible, incredible experience, and I loved it. I loved it. One of the last questions somebody asked is, how do you take trips like this when you have a job? I think people get confused, because for me, a lot of times I travel for work, but this particular time is actually a really interesting story, because I decided I wanted to do it, and so I actually told my boss that I was quitting my job to do it, because I kind of also just wanted to quit my job, and I wanted to do this, and it just seemed right.
But they kind of negotiated with me and they told me that I could just take a little bit of a sabbatical if I would then please come back and not quit my job. So I actually took a couple weeks of vacation and then I took unpaid time for the rest of the time that I was gone. And so I did like a little sabbatical and then I came back. So my boss actually gave me permission to be gone, which was really fun. It was really special to be able to go on a trip like that and know that I had a job waiting for me when I got back. The very last question that many people asked is, would you do it again? And there's two ways to answer this question. Like, would I physically go back in time and do it again if I could? Yes, 100%. And then there's like the idea, would I do it like a second time, like do it 2 times? And I would say yes and no. I want to do it again for sure, but I want to do a different route. I don't want to do the exact same thing again. I'm not the kind of person that if they like something, they want to do it over and over. I constantly want to do new things. So I'm thinking I would like to do the Portuguese route. It's 2 weeks. It's a little shorter, a little less intense, and it's obviously a completely different country. It ends in the exact same place though, so there would be like 1 day that's the same. But other than that, it'd be a completely different experience, and so I'm hoping to definitely do that. That is it for all the questions I'm gonna be answering for today. Don't forget, I'm gonna be putting up a few more videos about the Camino, so make sure you're subscribed and actually go ahead and click the bell button next to the subscribe button, and that'll give you notifications of when I post so you will know about it. Thank you so much for watching this video. If I didn't answer your question, please comment down below or DM me on Instagram and I will try and answer it. I really appreciate all of the support and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.